My fellow Amazonians, happy Sunday to all of you. I have decided to record this audio, which is addressed to all of you without distinction. I have chosen this day with the hope that many of us have calmed down. I speak to you today as a leader who represents your anger and frustration, whether you like me or you don't like me. One who also epitomizes your hope and aspirations, but most importantly, one will represent the method which we have all embraced as the ultimate strategy towards our liberation. Today, I have to ask for benediction from our ancestors to speak with prudence, calm reasonableness, and with a measured tone, with the hope that my entreaties will attract your honest assessment. Void of the historical anger and frustration that has bedeviled our communication and discourses. I also really have to ask the guiding spirit of Amazonia to grant all of us the serenity and steadfastness to vanquish the enemy, close ranks and free our homeland. As I have attested before, no purpose is bigger, nobler, or richer. One thing I will never do is back down from a strategy or course of action based on anyone's contempt or fear of the consequences of that course of action until it is otherwise proven, not through anger, not through noise, but through empirical evidence or historical parallel that is also driven by the same context and atmosphere, that such a course of action will have disastrous ends against the ultimate outcome that we seek. It is not because we fear the consequences of a course of action that the consequences will be hazardous to our people and to our struggle. That said, let's talk about some of the reasons regarding my recent commitment and actions to escalating tensions all over Amazonia without a focus on any of the strategies that has attracted a lot of discussions. First, we must escalate because of the arrogance of our captors. We must because of their history of deception, violence, bribery, and corruption, which they have employed through time to defeat every opposition to their robbery and anarchy. We must because of the urgency of the moment and the exigency of changing the false narrative that they have created and continue to propagate. The enemy has propagated a narrative that there is normalcy, and even though the results on the ground show differently, the optics are not flattering. The optics lend credence to the playbook of the enemy, that they can fake their way through another charade called elections in Amazonia. We must not only counter this, but we must deny them the opportunity to propagate this falsehood. We must not only deny them, but we must stop them. To stop, we must escalate. And to escalate, we must change the narrative and the status quo. This cannot be done with complacence and compliance, adherence to the normal conduct of life that we've adjusted ourselves to. We must bring both positive and negative tension to rattle the enemy from its base and take them off their tangent. To do this, we must also sacrifice inwardly and outwardly. We must be prepared not only to suffer more, because we are already suffering a lot, but to heighten and sustain our suffering. I can bear the laments and groans of our people on the one hand, and the castigations of our naysayers at the other extreme. But my question to you is this: what is the alternative? Succumb, adjust, continue on the same platform and course of action, and hope to God Almighty that it produces an alternative result? I know we will face this challenge squarely and resolutely, because it is in our nature. This is what the teachers did, and before them, students of the University of Boya, Amazonians from the University of Yaoundé. This is also what the lawyers did. This is what our prisoners have done in the past 7 years. And what greater sacrifice than that which has been paid by our fallen heroes? Cameroon will not change or alter its course of action because we suffer, because we die or scream. It is going to happen when we create enough anarchy, impose enough cost, and reject and vomit them in every way, form, or shape. My fellow Amazonians, in the struggle for our freedom between us and Cameroon, we are the weaker party. We run a struggle without a budget. We run a struggle without any support. The methods we employ to undermine the enemy are not only traditional liberation strategies, but are strategies driven by our context, our geography, our financial situation, and the very moment in the 21st century where a liberation struggle is conducted in the full glare of the social media, where every action, policy proposition is scrutinized minutiously even before it hits the ground for implementation. You need backbone to stand by the very words you utter, the very policies you propose. Because 90% of opposition and noise against policies and practices is coming from trolls of the enemy. They amplify the little oppositions and questions that are raised, genuinely or not, by our very own people. We must be vigilant. If we want to be free, if we want to take ownership, we must be disciplined. 21st century liberation struggles required ultimate discipline. The kind of discipline that shatters your own very being, but that works for the general good, an outcome that we seek. I ask each and every one of you to prove your worth to the Amazonian people in your actions, in your tone, in your commitment to destroying Cameroon's ability to continue to perpetuate in Amazonia actions and policies whose consequences are disastrous for this generation and 2 generations ahead of us. We will continue to disagree. How we conduct ourselves during that disagreement speaks volume about our character, about who we are, what we stand for, what we fight for, and the kind of nation that we fight and die for. God bless you all.